Good morning, good morning. I forgot to edit my little bio thing. We're not working on the teddy bear anymore. I'll have to change that. I'm still finding out things about TikTok and what I can do. We are working on let me pull one of them out over here. This is what we're going to be doing today. This is a knitted coffee cozy. Wraps around a coffee cup with a button. A little dragon button on there. But I'm going to show you how I made this. And I did link the pattern for anyone who wants to follow along in my bio. I did state that this was my pattern. This one was not my pattern. The other one that I had shown the last time was my pattern. Can't show them now because I've already pulled them out to redo them because they rolled up. Welcome, welcome everyone. And I'm going to go ahead and get started with a cast on here that's going to be very, very quick. Long tail cast on. I'm using some variegated yarn today. Hopefully our cables won't get lost too much because they seem to pop up here pretty good. So hopefully we don't lose our design in this color change here. We're going to go ahead and just fly with it and see what we can do. I didn't want to do another pink one, and I have all different colors of yarn over here, but I didn't really want to break into sets that I have for sweaters. So I'm going to cast on 17 stitches. For anyone new, long tail cast on, you have the tail closer to you, the end going to the skein of yarn away from you. I drape them over these two fingers and I pull this together almost like a slingshot. Make sure I got enough to do 17 stitches here. Hold it in my hand like this. Put my needle down here between my hand and the yarn itself. Give it a little twist. That's one stitch. It's 2, 3, 4, 5, and we're going to do 17. 6 stitches. Seventeen stitches. We're going to turn our work here. We're going to start our first row. Alright, we're going to get started right off into this. I'm going to do a single row of knit. And then, no, we're going to go ahead and do this. It's going to be a little harder to do. We're going to knit one, purl one, knit one. Anyone who needs to see the demonstration of the stitches, I will show you here a little further on up. It's hard to show demo on the cast on row. Okay, now we're going to knit 9. Drop that string there. Now we're going to purl, knit, purl, knit. right, now we're going to turn our work, and the next set of directions are knit, purl, knit. And then we are going to knit across 11. Here it looks like 2 stitches. I work my tail in as I knit, so we're going to catch these both. And then we're going to knit, purl, and knit. Okay. We have something here that looks like this. We have edge stitching, which is this edging here. And then we have a flat stockinette area here that we're going to be working these cables over in the middle. And then we have another section over here for the other side border edge so it doesn't roll up. I'll show you an example because I did leave one of these together. This is what happens to knit when you don't put a border edge on it. It rolls up. And then you have a hard time getting it to lay flat because it'll just roll right back up. So if you're doing flat pieces, blankets and things and such, you need to put a little border edge on or it'll just roll right up. Alright, now I got to keep track of these rows here. We've already done 1 and 2. I did put some stitch markers out, but we're not going to use those. I see Chris came back this morning and Mad Love is in here. I'm just checking. I was reading directions and knitting away, checking to see who all's here, who may have commented. I'm working on the Coffee Cozy. I did find the pattern for it, and I did link it in my bio for any of the knitters who are following along or anyone who does knit that would like to have the pattern. It is linked in my bio, titled Coffee Sleeve. It should be the very first one because I just put it in there a few minutes ago. So we're going to go on to round 3. To make this bigger so I can see it a little better, then I won't struggle so much. I don't know why I didn't do that to begin with. Okay, it is the repeat of the first one. So we're going to knit, purl, knit, purl. Purl, knit, and a purl. If anyone would like to see a demonstration of the stitches, yes, it is 5:50 and I've been up since about 3 o'clock. I was waiting for my husband to go off to work and his son to leave so that the dogs would be quiet. They're in here right now. I hope they remain quiet. And again, we are going to purl, knit, purl, knit. We're doing the opposite, which gives us a seed stitch border here. The opposite of the last row. You can see here we did a purl and now this one's a knit. This one was a purl, now this one isn't, or this one was a knit, now it's a purl. That gives us that little bit of texture along the edge and it stops it from rolling up. This is not going to roll up because it's got that edge on there. Alrighty, now off to row 4, which is a repeat of what the last one we did. We're going to knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl 11. Welcome, welcome everyone who's coming in. We're working on a knitted coffee cozy this morning. Get back over here in camera frame. I always keep forgetting. Good morning. Law, Life, and Nature. Sure, I leave my Okay, one more. Now we're going to knit, purl, and knit. I know I'm super early this morning. I figure let's go ahead and get started. And that was row 3. Actually, that was row 4, wasn't it? Yeah, that was row 4. We got to keep up with our rows. Another little sip of coffee. How's everyone doing? Yes, don't forget the counter. Don't forget the counter. This is a 6-row. No, it's more than 6 rows. Jumps around a good bit, but we got to do 60 rows. We do row 6 through 11 multiple times, it looks like. So we are on row 4. We're going to go to row 5, which is a knit, purl, knit, purl. We're going to knit 9. I don't know if it's supposed to rain here today, but my hands have been bothering me all morning, especially this right one. Right dead in the middle, like right there. It normally only does that when it's going to be really damp. All right, let's hit that counter. Now we're on to row 6. Knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl 11. I need to put this cushion up here, or I'm going to keep trying to pull my hands off of here, and then you won't see what I'm doing. I'm going to purl 11. And then we're going to the last 3 stitches, knit, purl, and knit. What stitches are you talking about? We have seed stitch going up the side here, and we have a braided cable. Hi, Starshine Fox. I see you here. Yeah, these stitches here along the side, these lumpy stitches here, are called seed stitch. It's a combination of knit and purl. It's a knit 1, purl 1. And when you come back over, you do a purl and a knit. So you do the opposite. And it just gives you that little texture. And this is a braided cable. I'm getting ready to show you. I did link the pattern for this in my bio. So the pattern for it is there, and it's just a coffee sleeve. You can extend it. You can put more cable braids in here if you wanted a bunch of cabled braids. You would just do those repeats. Make sure to put a couple of pearls, or at least 1 row of pearls in between your cables, because they won't stand up if you don't. Tunisian crochet later. Yeah, I'm just demonstrating how we do these cables here. And we just did row 6 because that was the back row here. Now we're on 7. Here's where we are going to do this cable. And all right, so all the odd rows will be like that. All right, okay, I understand now. It's been years since I've done this pattern, and it's early. So again, we are on, just to double check, row 7. So we are going to, over the first 4 stitches, knit, purl, knit, purl. And again, this is a free pattern. There is an ad-free PDF that you can pay for if you don't like the ads. Now I'm going to slip 3 stitches onto cable needle and hold it in the back. 3 stitches. Put those in the back. Knit 3. 1, 2, 3. And I don't know if my camera dropped or what. I need to raise it up a little bit. I'll do it after I finish this row because it's down a little low. Now we put those 3 back over onto the needle from off the cable needle. We're going to knit those 3. And then we're going to knit the next 3. And in the last 4 stitches, we're going to purl, and knit. Okay, I'm going to stop here and finagle this here up just a little bit. Just as we go, right? But I don't want it up too high because then I can't see the comments. There we go. Click the counter. All right, now I need to back this up a little bit because I can't see. Okay, we're on row 8, so we're going to knit, purl, and knit over the next 3 stitches. Knit, purl, and a knit. And then we are going to purl over the next 11 stitches. Eight, 9, 10, 11, and then we're going to, over the next 3, knit, purl, knit. Oops. There we go. And you can see here we've got a little twist starting, and that will develop as we go along. Okay. Now click the counter. So we're going to do our even row again, our even numbered row, which is knit, purl, knit, or no, yes, knit, purl, knit, okay, I'm just making sure. Knit, purl, knit, purl. Now we're going to knit across 9. Now we're going to purl, knit, purl, and knit. Move this up out of the way so I don't sling it with the string. These can go over here because we're not going to use those. Okay, hit the counter. Now we're going to knit, purl, knit over the next 3 stitches. Yes. And the next 11 stitches we're going to purl. Somebody to help keep count of your rows. Purl 11. we are going to knit, purl knit the last 3 stitches. All right. Okay, this is where it's going to get crazy, because we're on row 10. And then we have to start back over at row 6 again. And I'm going to have a hard time keeping count of my rows. I think I'm just going to measure it up with this one since I already have one done. I don't want to have to get a second row counter out, so I can keep count of total rows and use this one to keep count of my 6 through 11 repeat for my pattern here. So what I would normally do is I would have one on this hand that would count my rows for my repeat, and then on this hand I would have the one for the actual total count, because we're going to repeat rows 6 through 11 of this pattern until we get the length that we want. So I'll just measure up with this one. That way I don't have too much of a problem. 10. And that is... Oh, we just did 10, didn't we? Yes, we did. We did 10 and we didn't mark it off. No, we did mark it off. Now we're on row 11. Let's keep track. I get to talking. Okay, we're going to do that cable twist again. Okay. It's a different cable twist, though. All right, so we're going to knit, purl, knit, and purl. I don't know why, but my background music seems to be getting a little loud. For me, anyway. Got a little piano playing. All right. Knit, purl, knit, purl. We're going to knit 3. We're going to take and slip 3 onto our cable needle. And we are going to hold those to the front. We're going to knit these 3. The next 3 in line here. And then we're going to take these 3 off the cable needle and put them back over here onto the left-hand needle. And we are going to knit those 3. And then we are going to purl and knit and purl and knit. Okay. And here we're starting to twist up again a little bit more. I'm going to double check and make sure that I haven't missed anybody's comments while I take a break here. Yeah, pen and paper and tally marks. Sometimes that works if you can remember to stop the row, pick up a pen, mark it down on the right column, and then start up again. I'm going to grab a little device here that I should have over here on the table just to showcase when I'm on here, to kind of give you guys an idea of how it was before row counters and when people were a little more conservative about how much paper they are using. This is the row counter that they used to use. It's a Susan Bates Peggott knitting counter. You've got your row counts, your pattern rows for your repeats, your increases and decreases on here. Cables are a love-hate relationship. Love the difficulty of it, hate how tight it is to work with. It doesn't get really tight if you pay attention to your tension as you go. I do knit a little looser when I do my cables. So that does, it doesn't really feel, not tight enough that it won't bend over. So it's not super duper. But yeah, this is what my mother used to use, and she gave it to me not too long ago. And these little pegs have been in here for a while. They're a little harder to get out. This one's definitely been in here for a while. But yeah, this is what they used as row counters, which I thought was pretty cool. But anyway, back to our pattern. And we did row 11. So now we have to reset this back. I'm just going to set it on 5, so I know I have to do row 6 now. And this is our repeat. We're going to repeat 6 through 11. So now we are going to knit, purl, knit over the next 3 stitches. And then we are going to purl 11. Seven. And now we're going to do our little seed stitch border. And we are going to knit, purl, and then knit again. Okay, and you see we're getting our little twists coming up here. This way and then this way. Yeah, you can't find those any longer. That is an antique item, and I'm going to hold on to it. I'm going to hold on to it, and I'll pass it down to my daughter like my mother passed it down to me. And these will become, you know, little family heirlooms. My daughter has started knitting, but she's settling into new mommyhood. She had a son who, it's just about a year ago, she had her first child, and only child, she's decided. But yeah, I'm going to hand this down to her, and she'll have this, and they'll be like, oh, wow. And it's like kind of like now having a record, an album, something on vinyl. You know, they're like, well, what the heck is that? And how do you play that? You know, they haven't seen that. So, yeah, this probably would help you keep track better than the button one, but I'm used to the button ones because that's where, well, I started a paper and pencil, marking all over my pattern and everything else. Now they have apps that you can use, so you don't have to have paper and printer ink, and you can just do it on your tablet, and you can highlight the rows you've done and all that kind of stuff. I can't do all of that because I'm not that tech savvy. So we're going to go on now. Again, we're going to repeat row 7. So we're going to knit, purl, knit, purl. And it looks like every other row here is going to be every other row on the front side is going to be a cable thingy here. Now we're going to slip 3 stitches and hold it in the back. Notice how when we put this in the back, it leans to the left. Put it to the front, it's going to lean to the right. Or the other way around. To the back goes to the right. To the front goes to the left. Got myself all turned around here this morning. Now we're going to put these 3 stitches back on here. And then what I always do is I do a little of this in the where nobody can see it, you know, as I'm working, and it does stretch those stitches enough that it doesn't pull, and I'm really, really loose on my tension when I'm doing the cable portion. I don't really, it's always sliding with the cable portion. I don't snug it down at all. I let this string right here ride right with that stitch all the way up. You'll see the string pull. Let me see if I can get it to focus in better. When I'm doing these, you'll see that string go all the way up to the top of the needle. This piece right here, it will ride right all the way up with it. And now we're going to knit the last 3. Even on this part here, I don't put a whole lot of tension. That way it gives it plenty of room to move around. And we were doing 7 again, so now we're going to purl knit, purl, and knit. And you can see it's not tight because I can slide this right up and down this needle with no issue. And I have no issue getting my my needle in for the next row of stitches. So when you're working the cable section, you really need to be loose with your tension. You can see those twisting around in there now. I'm getting our braid started here. All right, now we're going to click the clicker. We're going to do row 8 now. So we're going to knit, purl, knit. Oh, we dropped a stitch. Did you see that right there? I dropped a loop off the end while I was turning my hand around and actually pulled the other stitch out. So we're going to fix that real quick. Turn it around and get started. Okay. Now we are going to knit, purl, knit over the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to purl 11, the next 11 stitches. And even on this backwards row, I'm still being very, very loose on my tension. Very, very loose on my tension. I don't hold this at all tight. All right, and then we're going to knit, purl, and knit for the last 3 stitches. And you can still see that this slides up and down, and I'm holding way back here. It slides very easily, so it's not tight. It feels tight when you're knitting it because you're stretching the stitches across. But if you work your tension a little looser than you normally would, then it does just fine. Mark down that row. I set my coffee off in the wrong spot. I took it off the warmer. So we're working right on along here. And that was row 8 that we finished. So we're going to do 9. So we go back up here. It says to repeat row 1. So we're going to knit, purl, knit, and purl, and then we're going to knit over the next 9. Eight and 9, and then we're going to purl, knit, purl, and knit. That was the last 4 stitches. All right, do our little clicker. Now we go to the back side row, which is always pretty much the same. So that's a knit, purl, knit. Welcome everyone who's coming in. We're working on a coffee sleeve. We're going to purl the next 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. How many avid knitters or crocheters do we have here with us today? How many are actively knitting or crocheting, or maybe not right now currently, but you have a project going on in knit or crochet? Hit our clicker while we're waiting for the responses. I have had this question asked. Good morning, Michelle. How are you? Love, life, and nature. You have several. Okay, over the last, okay, we're going to knit, purl. We're working on row 11 now, and it's another cable row. I have been asked, what is the easiest way to keep your count? And I haven't had an answer for that. I haven't been able to answer what is the easiest way to keep count of your stitches. And I was just wondering if anyone had any suggestions on the easiest way to keep the count of your stitches. Now we're going to knit these first 3. And we're going to slip the next 3 onto our cable needle and hold them to the front. 3. And we are going to skip over and knit the next 3. Here's where your tension's going to get tight because you're pulling this together. You want to make sure that you leave plenty of room because it is going to be bulky, but you don't want to leave too much room. Hey, Hessa Life, how are you? You can see that those stitches pretty much match up right there. Same distance between the stitches. The tension is still really loose. Okay. The only thing about doing cables is you are going to lose inches in your width of your work because your cables run vertically in your work. And it does draw it up a little bit. And now we're going to purl, knit, and knit the last 4. Okay, and you can see the cable kind of gets washed out when you're using a variegated color. You will be able to see this when it's on a certain angle, the braid and stuff. But you can see how with these color changes, and I wanted to show that specifically, but we're going to continue on with this, how those color changes wash out your cables. Yes, I love cables. I'm addicted to cables. When I first learned how to do cables, everything I did had cables in it. I was cable crazy. Cable crazy. But yeah, you can still see that your braid is in here, but because the color changes, it washes it out pretty much. Yes, I love cables. Oh, we've got friends in here. Oh, isn't this cute? I love it. But let's continue on here. I think we just did row 11, so I'm going to put this back to 5 because we're starting with row 6 again. Alrighty, I'm going to turn this over and we are going to knit, purl, knit the next 3 stitches. So knit this one, purl this one, and knit this one. If we have any beginning knitters and you need me to slow down and demonstrate how the stitches are done, please just put it up in the comments, stitch demo, or just demo. And we're going to purl the next 11 here. And I will slow down and show you how these stitches are done. Okay, and then we are going to knit, purl, and knit the last 3. All right, push our clicker. We're going to go on down. This is another cable row here. So our first 4 stitches are going to be knit, purl, knit, purl. Been knitting for over 10 years and a huge tension problem. I can show you how I hold my tension. Sometimes I will wrap it around this pinky and then have it come over my finger so I have it for wrapping so that the pinky gives a little tension. Tension basically is just going to be a hit and miss type thing because it's basically how you hold your yarn. If you have an issue with tension, you can purchased these. They're relatively inexpensive. Let me pull my little bag of these out over here. And they can help with your tension. They are crochet rings. This is a little peacock. But when you put this on your finger, I guess it would go that way. I don't use these a whole lot simply because, and you just run, how does it go here now? Now that I got it on, it's going to be hard to do it. Here we go. You run your yarn through the ring, and the tension is created here at your finger itself. You tighten this up around your finger, and that helps with your tension. To me, it doesn't seem like it helps a lot. That's why I don't use them too much. My mother actually wears these as regular jewelry. Let's see if I can find one of the other ones that I have used. You can actually, I don't think it's been that one. It definitely wasn't that one. That one's way too wound out. But your yarn goes in and under here. You can also, has a little loop here in the top too, so that you can run it through there, and that creates even more tension. So maybe trying crochet rings. They normally sell them 4 or 5, and these were purchased off of Amazon. 4 or 5 together for $7 or $8. They're adjustable because they're not closed. They're just an open loop, and they are adjustable, so they fit any size finger. Yeah, you can use the head of the peacock too. I had just showed that one with it wrapped. Yeah, if you sweat, it won't slide. Sweat will cause an issue with tension. My mother has, her hands sweat profusely. And she has tried several things. So a lot of times, the only time she's crafting is in the winter when it's cooler and her hands don't sweat. I also, if I don't wrap, I still have this here, and I will create my tension with my pinky because I can tighten it down to the point that I can't even pull it through without, you know, putting a crease in my finger just by my pinky. So, you know, that's one of the 2 ways I hold it. I've seen people actually roll it around their finger a couple of times, but you have to constantly stop and unroll it. So I don't do that because I like to have like a flowing progression to my work and not stop and go, because that will cause issues with your tension too. So let's see which row we were on here again. We're getting ready to do another cable row on 7. So over the first 4 stitches, we're going to do almost like a little 1x1 rib pattern. It's a knit, a purl, a knit, and a purl. And then we're going to slip the next 3 stitches. I'll go ahead and take my yarn to the back onto the cable needle, and that goes to the back. Okay. So in essence, what we're doing, we're taking the next 3 stitches and we're twisting them over the 3 that were previous to it, which creates lumps, which you really can't see with this variegated yarn, but you can see it here. It's one of the reasons why I chose to use this variegated yarn today, to show you that not all yarns are going to work and look great with every project. So when you try something new, a new stitch or a new pattern, pay attention to whether they use a variegated yarn or not. If not, stick with the solid color the first time, see how it comes out, because the variegated yarn does take a lot away from designs sometimes. Okay, now we've got that cable done, and we are going to purl, knit, purl, knit. Okay, and you can see that working up right there. And they're just twisting around each other. Hit the clicker. Now we're doing our back side row. So we are going to knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl over the next 11. Yes, I will share any tips and tricks that I have found that work for me. They might work for you, they might not. So we're going to purl this next 11. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Quarter ace I'll show you in just a minute when I do the next cable row. And now we are going to knit, purl, and knit the last 3 stitches. I have done cables for a long time. In the beginning, I did get that big cable gap. This one here is a braided cable, okay? So you're not going to see that gap. Now, this is one that I had started yesterday. I didn't pull it back out, but if you look here, I'm still going to have that big gap. But when these stitches come around and start puffing up, you won't see it. Okay? So there was that gap in just a regular cable twist. Okay, but as you see down here, the gap closed up because this twist puffed right up and around. This gap will close up. Now when I do my cables, I will show you how I do them. See here, there's a big gap right here. So cables, you do get gaps in your work. You do. It's just inevitable because you're stretching stitches. My favorite stitch with purls and knits. I don't think I have a favorite stitch with purls and knits, but I like the fact that you can place purls and knits to where you can do a picture. You can do lettering. I've done baby blankets to where I've done knit and purl stitch only, which are the only 2 stitches in knitting unless you count the yarn over. And it's just the order in which you do them and how you manipulate them, passing them over the other and everything else. But just a plain flat knit and purl stitch, no passovers, no slip stitches, just knits and purls. I put little toy boats, little trucks, pictures in baby blankets. All using the same color, and these little dots right here is what makes the picture on a flat knit background. And it was worked all at the same time as I'm going along. And I could show you some of those squares too, and I will, because in class Tuesday, we're going to practice the knit and purl stitch and the cast on, and I'll show you little squares where we can make pictures. And I'll show you how to plot those out so that you can do it yourself. So that's one of the things that we're going to be doing tomorrow in class. And we're also going to be doing some crochet stitches to do pattern. So, hi Peach, thanks for the follow. Shaniqua, thank you so much for the follow. And you guys, if you have friends that want to learn how to knit or crochet, please share. Share my posts, share my videos. Everybody's welcome. So we're going to go on, and we did row 8. We didn't click it off. Now we're going to do row 9 in the pattern. Anybody who's just coming in, I did link this pattern in my bio if you want to follow along. He only likes chaining. In the beginning, that's all I did too. My mother taught me when I was 9 years old how to crochet. Now we're going to knit over the next 9. And that's all I did was chains. I had all different colors of yarn, and I made chains out of all different colors, and I hung it around my room like streamers. It looked like a Mardi Gras parade in my room. And then I got tired of that. Now we did our 9, and now we're going to do that seed stitch again, which is going to be a purl, knit, purl, knit. And yeah, it looked like a Mardi Gras parade. And then I wanted to learn more, so my mother taught me single crochet. And then I wanted to learn more, so she taught me double crochet. Oh, thank you. Thank you for the compliments on my work. And then, you know, I went from blankets to hats to sweaters, or to scarves, I mean. And I've been doing this for 40 plus years. And I just, within the last 2 or 3 years, started with adult size sweaters. I did baby sweaters. I did everything on the small size. It was done really quick, and I loved it. All right, we're going to mark that one off, and we're going to do row 10, which is a knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl the next 11. Eight, 9, 10, 11, and then we're going to purl, knit, purl, or knit, purl, knit, I'm sorry, knit, purl, knit. All right, and that was 10, and now we're going to do 11, which is another cable row, and I'll show you the cable stitches here. Knit, purl, quarter ace. We're getting ready to do some cable, and I'll show you exactly what I do. Now we're going to knit the next 3. If your daughter wants to learn at 6, teach her at 6. If she likes to crochet, or if she likes to knit, probably start her out with crochet if you know how to crochet. If you know how to knit, knit might work just fine. But if you want to start her out on a loom, you have to be careful with that little sharp picker hook. Or if you just want to start her out on needles, I suggest metal. Or no, I suggest wooden needles because it grips the yarn. It's less likely to fall off. And use a worsted weight. Don't use black. Use a lighter color to start with. Black is always harder to see stitches sometimes. Knit, I don't think it matters too much because your stitches stay on the needles. Okay, now the next 3 stitches, because we knit the first 3, we're going to slip them onto the cable needle and hold them to the front. Now, when I do this portion, I don't know if you can see it very well. I'm going to come up here pretty close, and hopefully this focus is in pretty good. I actually take and push these right together like this. So it's almost like I'm just working the next stitch, okay? And I will hold these together. When I come up here and wrap my needle, I have very little tension on this whatsoever when I'm doing cables. It's just laying there in my hand, okay? And if I can come up here close enough, you can watch that this string right here that's leading to my hand, okay, it will slide over my hand all the way up. So I'm getting the true width of this needle here that it's going on to. And there's the same amount of space between this stitch that is 3 stitches over between all of the other stitches that I normally have. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and do the next stitch. Should have no problem with that one. Tension doesn't have to be so great there. The last one, they're all in order, so your tension is going to be just like regular knitting. Here's where your gaps come in. I always give this a tiny little pull, just a little bit, so that when I put them back on this needle, they are already stretched a tiny little bit. And because I'm watching this through the camera view, I'm having a harder time. Let me watch this from down here. There we go. Nope. Thought I had it. There we go. We got all 3 of them on there. I'm going to go ahead and slide those off. Okay, we've already stretched those a little bit. Again, we're going to just do this. Just give a little tug. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to put all of that together. Now, when I do this first one, I want to make sure that it's, the stitches are together. The last stitch that I did and the one I'm getting ready to do. So we don't have a large gap between our stitches. Wrap, and then if you're watching, that string is just going to ride right all the way up. Okay, I'm not pulling tight. It's loose. You can see here that there's hardly any tension on it because it's just laying loose. Now, if there was tension, it would be tight, but it's just laying loose. Okay, that first stitch. Now, these next two should be okay because, again, they're right next to each other. We've already gave them a little stretch. Not a whole lot of tension, again, as you can see there in the cable parts. Okay. Then, once we get over here, we're going to go to do our purl. Here's where your gaps are created. You see here? That's where your gaps are created. But because these stitches are done the way they are, you won't see them because the stitch will lay over it and this will all come together. And I'll give this a little, I always kind of do this after I've done a row, cable row. So you can see there's still a little bit there, but it closes up as you work up. Okay, it'll close up as this flattens out over the next couple rows. We'll look again, and that'll be gone, just like down here on the other sides. So it's all just holding your stitches together and making sure that, you take your extra time over the cable areas with your tension, and things just, flow together. As I'm taking a break here, I'm checking over comments, making sure I don't miss anybody. Welcome to all the new people coming in. A good project to start practicing cables. I would practice the knit and purl stitch first off. If you're already avid or fluent with the knit and purl stitch, then you can start manipulating your stitches. Don't be hard on yourself. Best close-up demonstration. If you have a young child that you're teaching, have them sit on your lap. Take your hands around them and let them see, just like I'm showing you, just like this. This is like you're watching it. This is the best way to teach. Now, as far as adults, you can't have an adult sitting in your lap. Well, maybe you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. Your legs fall asleep. But, yeah, just teach the stitches, and then, the knit and purl, once they get avid with those, then everything else becomes easy because you already know the basic stitches. You just have to learn the tension and the manipulation of the stitches for what it wants you to do. Oh, well, if you have to make her sit still, she might not want to learn. Yeah, do it on her want. If she says, hey, I want to knit, and she only does 2 or 3 stitches, let her only do 2 or 3 stitches. Because if you make her sit there and finish the row, she's going to become, oh, I don't like this. I don't want to stay here and do this. You can knit it off the cable needle if you want to. I've done that too, but I just like to put it back on the other for tension and having everything lined up. Because your tension will be different when you're knitting it off the cable needle because it's not in line with the other stitches. Well, yeah, like I said, Tu Papa had made the comment that knitting a little over a year but never had done cables. Yep, the yarn websites have a lot of patterns, a lot of free patterns with cables. I use Pinterest because they do have a lot of free patterns on there. This one came from Ravelry. It was off of a Pinterest link. But the pattern is on Ravelry. Took me a little bit to find it, but I found it. All right, now let's see where we're at. I think we just did 11. Yes, so we're going to reset this back to 5 because we need to repeat 6 through 11. And that's what we do. We just repeat rows 6 through 11. And it gives us a nice braided cable. You're not seeing the braid too much because the variegated is washing it out. Unlike when you do it with a solid color, you will definitely see this. This has the same build to it. Let me see if I can get this one to stand up the same as this one so that you can see. Probably won't be able to. Yeah, you can see the same build in there. But making sure that you have the right yarn for the project that you want to do, especially if you're doing texture, you want to make sure that it's not going to be so washed out. I did some with a fleck, and you can still see the cable in there. And I put a gingerbread button on this one. But yeah, having the right yarn for your project is going to be a big deal. Because see here, you can see some of this is washed out because of the fleck. But this one here, the solid color, you can see that texture really good. And then you go variegated and you can hardly see the braid at all. So picking the right yarn for your project is a must. But we're still going to continue on because I like this color. And you'll still be able to see that. I don't know, the camera's just not showing it very well. But yeah, the braid is there. The yarn just kind of washes it out. Oh, this fleck here. I think this is Aran fleck. It's called Aran, A-R-A-N, which is like this beige color with the fleck, which just has little different, it's got like pieces of yarn that are different colors in here. And this is a red heart yarn. And then of course we've got our buttonhole here, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to continue working this and get it to where it needs to be. And we are back on to row 6. So that is the even row repeat here. So we are going to knit, purl knit. Thank you for all the likes, guys. I appreciate it. And please share. I do upload all of my, and we didn't even get that one, did we? What do we do here? I started off on the wrong stitch. No, I didn't. Knit, purl. It didn't look right. There we go. Now we're going to purl 11. Six, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Welcome, Melissa. How are you this morning? We are working on a knitted coffee sleeve, or a coffee cozy. All right, we're on to row 7. This is another cable row, and I'll show you again. And I can show you here now. You can see this is already closing up. And you won't even see that. Even though it's still there, you know, it's still there. That one's still there, but it closes up because this puffs up over it. So, you know, cables, you're going to get your gaps because you're twisting stitches. You're pulling stitches over to the side. So you are going to get a little bit of a gap. But if your tension is right, it should take care of that. Alrighty, again, we are going on to round 7. So we're going to knit, purl, the next 4 stitches. And I should have turned off those message notifications because now my phone is vibrating. I hope that's not messing up the video. Slip 3 stitches to the cable needle, and we're going to hold those in the back. And we're just repeating the same 6 stitches. Now, when I put these to the back, okay, and they're just hanging there, I'm just holding the needle out of my way. And we don't want to knit this like this because, yeah, that's going to give you great big gaps. So my little tip and trick for this is I push those two as close together as I can get them to what it would be if I was knitting normal. Okay? Knit the first stitch. And again, this string is going to ride all the way up. I'm not putting a whole lot of tension on that string. You can see, there. Loose, loose, loose. Now, because this one's right next to it, we're going to put a little bit of tension there. And you can see I left a little bit of gap. That should have tightened up a little bit more, but it'll be fine. You don't have to do it super tight because then you won't be able to get your needle in there when you go back through. These go back on, or you can knit them off. And I can show you. This cable needle's meant for you to knit them off like that. Okay, you're taking them here like this. Reason why I don't do this is because you're again stretching this even more, putting this in the middle to be able to knit that. And again, that creates a bigger gap. And I'm watching camera view, so I'm doing a little bit slower. Okay. And then we're going to knit the next 3. And then we are going to purl, knit, purl, knit. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I did change my name last night. Oh, you've gotten into combining patterns. I like doing that too. I'll take a simple pattern and add a texture into a flat stockinette area. Or I'll put color work in it. I like to alter the pattern a little bit. Use the stitch counts, but alter it, you know, so that it's not just plain. I like to be different. We're going to click the clicker again so we stay caught up with the row that we're on. We're working row 8 now, and again that is in the pattern is round 2 and all even rows. So we're going to knit, purl, and knit the next 3 stitches. And then we're going to purl. Let's get that all the way over there. Oh, nope, we got 2 stitches. We went down 1 too far. Now we got to fix this. My needle went down past my stitch. There we go. Instead of going into the stitch here, I went down into the loop below it and it, which would have made a big hole because that was 2 rows worth of work. And my laptop keeps, or laptop, yeah, I need a laptop. It keeps shutting off on me, my tablet. Now we're going to purl 11. There's 9, 10, and 11. And then we are going to knit, purl, and knit. Okay, and you can see the back side of our work there. And then the front side, we're working a braided cable. And we're working on coffee cozies this morning. Yeah, I can also set my screen display to, you know, keep on. But, you know, I jumped right on live this morning and didn't do all my settings and didn't change my little introduction to me because I've got it that we're working on a crocheted teddy bear, which we are not. I forgot to change that. So make sure we do our clicker again. We are on row 9. Alrighty, so we're going to knit, purl, the next 4 stitches. And then we are going to knit the next 9. And then we are going to purl, knit, the next 4, or the last 4. Okay, and we're coming right along here. Double check these comments again. Thank you for the follows. Welcome, everyone. And then hit the clicker again. My little clicker broke. I got it out of the package this morning, and the thing that holds the little ring on it, it's in 2 pieces. It's not supposed to be in 2 pieces. And I had just gotten that one out of the multi-pack bag of them that I had purchased. I'll hold on to this one and use it. You're supposed to be able to get the battery out of there to put a new battery in. And we are on row 10. All right, so we're going to knit, purl, knit over the next 3. Yes. I was watching, I can't remember her name on here, but she's doing a beehive shawl that she has done herself, and it's done in like lace weight. It's really, really tiny. And she did, to create the honeycomb spacing, she did a double yarn over. And they're like, how are you supposed to, knit into the second yarn over? And she said, you don't knit into the second yarn over. You knit the first and you purl the second. You have to be very careful when you do that with a double yarn over, because the second part of the yarn over isn't anchored down to anything. Now we're going to purl over the next 11 stitches. And that was something that I was like, okay, I hadn't known that until I watched her video here on TikTok. So I'm learning new tips and tricks, and from a designer's aspect on how to design things and how to figure out how to create lacy holes the size that you want them. Now we're going to knit, purl, and knit those last 3 stitches. Yeah. Yarn over, slip 1, and then knit 2 together. Do you pass the slip 1 back over? Because normally when you slip 1, you pass it back over, unless it's the end stitch at the end of the row to keep your stitching. Oh, to outline a leaf. Oh my goodness, knitted leaves. Okay, we are on row 11 now, so we're going to knit, purl, the next 4 stitches. And if anything that I'm saying is confusing, please say, hey, that doesn't sound right, or can you say it in a different way? And I will use different language. So we're going to knit the next 3, or no, not knit the next 3. Yes, we are going to knit the next 3. Here we go, not following directions. Knit the next 3. I'm on the wrong row. And we're going to slip the next 3 onto the cable needle and hold it to the front, because the last one went to the back. And we are going to come over here again. I'll show you this. Oh no, knitting's not a nightmare. I love to knit. Oh, I love having a little bit of challenge to the patterns that I do too. I love it. I love it. And if it's a simpler pattern, I add a challenge to it. Again, we've got those 3 stitches up there in the front, so I'm going to push these stitches close together so they're, the same distance as the ones I've already done apart. And again, that yarn is going to go right all the way up with the needle. I'm not going to put a whole lot of tension, and you can see it's just laying there. The next 2, knit just like you normally would. Again here, I give a little tug right over onto this needle. Don't watch the camera view, I can do it a little better. Okay, and then again, I give a little tug, and then the first stitch does seem tight because you are pulling it, okay, from a different direction. Again, put these together. When they ride up the needle, they all ride together so that your tension and your gapping stays the same. Now at this point, I do give a little tug so it stays together. The last time I didn't do that and I had a gap. So I'm going to give that just tiny. You know, you don't want to tighten it up around the needle so it doesn't slide. Then the next 2 stitches should be fairly easy to do because they are in line with the one that you just did. Here again is where another gap is created because of those twisted stitches. Okay, so we're going to do a purl stitch as our next stitch. I'm going to make sure to give a little extra snug to that one, okay? Just a little extra because it will loosen up because it will take up the extra that might have been left in here. Okay, and again, when I do stuff like this, I always check. It's still sliding. Not a whole lot of friction, but you can see it's still grabbing a little bit there in the middle. Just a little. Without distractions, I think I made like 6 or 7 of these in a day. Of course, this was years ago when I made these. I'm just bringing them back out again to build up inventory for a craft fair. Now, at this stage in my life with the health issues that I have, it takes me a little bit longer, but probably about, if I'm uninterrupted, maybe 2 hours to do one, maybe. And I don't think I've gotten the 90-minute, hey, you're doing a good job on the live yet, so it's not been an hour and a half, I don't think. Maybe it's been longer, I don't know. I'm just enjoying my time here. All right, now we're going to reset this back so we know we got to do row 6 again. And that's the same as round 2. It's listed as round 2 in all even rows. So we're going to knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to knit 11. Or purl 11. Not knit, we're going to purl 11. How fast can I go with this? Pretty quickly if I'm not talking. It's only 17 stitches. So I'm in limited space, which is slowing me down. I probably have about 10 inches between my camera, the actual camera eyeball piece, and the top of my desk. So I am working in limited space. If I could, I'm going to do one more purl. If I had more space, I would be able to move around a little freer. You'll see me get to going here. Now this next row, let's see. It's going to be another cable row here. So we're going to knit, purl, knit. When we get to a row where I don't have to do any cables, I can go pretty quickly. And one more purl. Okay, we're going to slip the next 3 stitches onto our cable needle into the back. Actually, I think I have been on here for a while because I think I got on like somewhere between 5:30 and 6. I think it was 5:50, Chris said. So, yeah, I have been on here about, only about an hour and 5 minutes because it's just after 7 now. So, we're going to do these 3. And then we're going to knit the next 3. And then we're going to do our seed stitch border. And we're going to purl knit, purl knit. Okay. Is that... I can't tell what your name is. Because I hate that TikTok fades them out so much. If you want to learn to knit, I'm here Tuesdays. I teach a class right here on TikTok free. Make sure to do our clicker so we know which row we're on. Now we're going to do that round 2 and all even rows again. The knit, purl, knit. I'm sitting here with my elbows on the edge of a table with a cushion and about 10 inches of space that I'm working in with my arms forward ahead of me. So yeah, it does slow me down a little bit, and the fact that this is a cable row here, which I always do a little slower so I can get a little looser tension. You can see how I'm pulling those stitches out a little bit from my loops, so that way I can add a little extra ease into that row there, which in turn eases the next row, because once you pull it tight, everything else beyond it gets tight. Got some new messages here. Yeah, I still crochet. Hey, Home Hookin', how are you this morning? I'm doing good. I've been on here early. Oh, don't cut it up. I don't think I've thrown my needles, but yeah, I've gotten upset and smacked them down on the desk. Yeah, Tunisian crochet. It does give you a blend because your stitches stay on the needle, except for when you take them off, then you got to go pick them all back up. A lot of amigurumi. Yeah, a lot of people are doing the amigurumi. Yeah, Home Hookin' started out learning knit, jumped right into a cardigan. Jumped right into a cardigan. Yeah, it's different having to do it with a hook and having to do it with 2 needles. All right, we did row 8. Now we're off on to row 9, which is a repeat of row 1. So we're doing a knit, a purl, a knit, and a purl. We were talking about craft fairs and stuff a little earlier. I don't know if anybody here is from Illinois or local to Morris, Illinois, but Home Hookin' is going to be at a craft fair June 3rd in Morris, Illinois. You can go check her out. She's got a lot of crocheted wearables, some amigurumi. Yeah, crocheting, going from crocheting to knit. It's just a little different because now you're using both hands. You have 2 needles instead of 1. Well, if you like doing certain things, you know, sometimes if it's a little bit harder for you to learn the knit, it makes it easier to just jump back to crochet. But if you do want to try again, I'm here to help. Now we're going to do our even row repeat again, which is a knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl over 11. Well, we can't purl from that side. Got to bring your yarn here. It's Morris, Illinois. You were on a live with someone making, what was that? Law, Life, and Nature. Oh, we got to knit that one. I was just knitting right on along, or purling right along, and looking at the comments. Oh, oh, you're welcome, Home Hooking. I'm here to help everybody. I'm here to help everybody that I can. It makes me happy. It makes me happy. So if you're a knitter or crocheter and you have an event coming up, you can share it with me, and I'll do my best to help you out. There's been some products that I've used. Actually, here we go again, trying to do the row 7 cable instead of the row 11 cable, which is different. We've got to knit these first 3. Yes. And then slip the next 3 to the front. I'll slip them onto the cable needle, take it to the front. Put these 2 pieces together. I'm missing a lot of the conversation here. Yeah, I've done some amigurumi too. I've done some zebras, lions. I did an owl. I'm gonna knit this one, purl this one, and knit that one. Is that right? No, that was not right. Because that's a repeat of the last row. We want it different. And I think I started it with this here. So what are we supposed to have here at the end of this row? On 11. Okay, we need a purl, knit, purl, knit. I've actually done some corner-to-corner crochet and done pictures into stroller-sized blankets. I use the safety eyes for my amigurumi and just snap them right in. Oh, fast food set. Chicken drumsticks. Yeah, you can use the felt eyes too and glue them on. Yeah, that works just as well. Now I'm going to reset my counter back so I know I have to do row 6 now, which is a knit, purl, knit, and then we're going to purl 11. And the thing about doing amigurumi, you do that awfully tight. So to jump from amigurumi to knitting, you have to be able to adjust your tension a good bit. You have to be kind of, adaptable from one craft to the other. Okay, there's 11. Now we're going to knit, purl, and knit. Okay, that was row 6. Now we're on to row 7, which is another cable row. Oh, we've been on here for an hour and a half now. There is my great job. They probably, because your eyes didn't snap on easily, they probably did not have the right backings with them because they just snap right on here. Yeah, well done on the hour and a half. I've been on here 3 hours sometimes just a talking and a knitting. Yes, I got these needle stoppers from you. Yes, I got these needle stoppers from you. They came from Hollaback Pearl. I should put I don't know. I've done videos hollering her out and everything else. She's here on TikTok. Oh, now you got a lot to try and hide. What's going on, Hoarder Ace? Are you trying to craft and watch at the same time and it's not going well? All right, let's remind us here what row we're on. 7. So we're going to knit, and then we're going to do our slips for our cables. Yeah, I'm using double pointed needles. I just turned them into little shorts. Yeah, I just put a needle stopper on there. I'm using double pointeds. But yes. All right, now we are going to slip the next 3 stitches onto the cable needle and hold them to the back. Home Hook and I was up at 3 o'clock this morning. The hubby went in early. I didn't want to get out of bed. Knit the next 3. And then we are going to do our last 4 stitches of purl, knit, purl, knit. I was doing a demo with the variegated yarn home hooking, showing how those cables get washed out. You still don't want to get out. Oh, you're texting us from in bed, really? Oh my gosh, who had the yarn haul? Law, Life, and Nature. Oh, I am trying to whittle. Oh, you're snuggling with the puppy. Well, that's a good reason not to get out of bed. But again, for anybody joining in, if you do knitting and you've experienced variegated yarn and cables, you can see how it just washes your cable out. It still stands out here. I don't know why the camera washes it out, but it does wash it out a good bit. You can tell here, even with the fleck, you can see it a little bit better. And then even so with a solid color. So, Law, Life, and Nature, I would hate to count how many actual balls of yarn that I have. I can show you this very quickly, and then I'm going to put my phone back up here in the stand. Please ignore all the other mess here. But this is my yarn corner. Those boxes have caked up yarn in them as well, and other projects that I'm working on. But this is my yarn, and each one of those cubies will hold 8 skeins of Knit Picks Brava Sport. So the ones that you see are full have 8 skeins in them, if not more, because some of them are quite smaller. But yeah, that's all my stuff there. So I think that's the first time during a live that I've spun around this room. Now we have to get this back in order. Make sure I plug it back in. No, we don't want to end now. We're hitting all kinds of buttons. But yeah, I have, a yarn wall from the floor to the ceiling, pretty much. I'm trying to use all of these up because I want to, some of that was on sale, yeah, but most of it, no, was purchased regular price. That is a yarn stash that's been curated over the last, I would say, 5 years. You used your yarn to bubble wrap your moving boxes. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see which. Don't hide my cable needle. I'll be forever searching for it. Okay, we just did 7. Now we're going to do our round 2 even row repeat. For all our even rows, it's a knit, purl, knit. And then we're going to purl 11. I wanted to try and get over to the other side with this today so that I could show you the buttonhole and the complete project. I'm about 1/3 of the way there. Would I like to video share? Are you asking to host or multi-guest Hoarder Ace? Oh, well, thank you. Stop back anytime. I do have class on Tuesday if you're interested. And I do upload all these videos to YouTube if you can't make the class time that I have. Yep. Now we are on row 9, which is the same as round 1. So we're going to knit, purl over the first 4 stitches. Sure. Are you still working on, go ahead and send the request and I'll accept it. Is that maybe Natty? It is a coffee sleeve. I'm currently working another one just to demonstrate a little bit of knitting, and I think this is a purl. No. This is a... Alright, hold on. I'm talking and not paying attention. We are on same as row 1. So that's going to be a purl, knit, knit. And I'll get back to this question here. It is a coffee sleeve. It is to keep your coffee warm. It wraps around your cup. I didn't bring a coffee cup with me today. Back here. The electronic, this thing here. That's a row counter. It's a digital row counter. It actually is a ring. The little back gauge broke, but it's a little adjustable silicone rubber type ring that goes on the back of here. You can wear it on your finger and you just push the button to keep count of your rows. Yeah, this is the coffee sleeve that we're working on. Wraps around your coffee cup buttons. Keeps your cup warm. Your tea, cocoa, coffee, whatever you have in there. And I have one that I did with a fleck, and I have one here where I'm working the Sternet tablet over here. One that I'm working in a variegated yarn just to show that the cables are still there, but the variegated yarn kind of washes it out. You can't really, on the camera view, you can't see it. You can see it better, you know, in person if I bring it up here like this. Go get you some coffee, law, life, and nature. Make sure that they put some motivation in the bottom. They didn't put any in mine. And I was the one that made the coffee. Grab a sip of that while we're taking a little break here. And I'm going to continue on with this because I want to show you the buttonhole. Yeah, you need a double shot. No, I've never used a stitch counter because I'd have to stop every stitch and hit the count. And I don't like having to stop. These cable needles, excuse me, they come in a pack of 3. They're on Amazon. There's this one, a white one, and a pink one, and they're all different sizes. You get 3 of them in the package. This one's for, you know, like worsted weight on down. There's another one in there that you could use for worsted weight to chunky, and then there's another one that you can use for the super bulky. So, yeah, they're on Amazon, and they're not that expensive. I've used another double pointed needle as a cable needle. These here, you can let go of them. I like it because you can let go of them. The using another double pointed, you have to hold on to it so it doesn't fall out. And that's with me. I like to just be able to keep going. Now we're back to the even row with the knit, purl 11, and then knit, purl, knit at the other end. But yeah, the cable needle makes it nice. They also have a U-shaped cable needle where one side's longer than the other. And you can hook it in there and just let it hang. It's a different style. I've used a stitch marker. Not a stitch marker, but a stitch holder, I'm sorry, to hold cables, which is a real pain in the butt because then it's hard to get off of there again. To put it back over on the other needle, it's easy, but to try and knit it off, it's impossible because it's closed, or it closes up. It's not open on both ends like this one or the U cable needle. All right. Now, we got to do row 11. I already put row 10 off, so we're going to knit, purl, 4 stitches. Knit, purl, knit, and purl. And I really need to fix this cushion. When I went to make it, it made too small. Or actually, I had a longer piece of foam, and trying to put it in the sleeve that I made, it broke. So, slip these and hold them to the front. And again, I put my stitches together just like they are next to each other when I start knitting for the next set. So they're right next to each other, just like as if it was there. Okay, and then these we're going to put back on the needle. And then we are going to knit those. Again, paying attention that you don't make your tension too tight. You can see that that's just hanging out there. All right, and then we do a purl, knit, purl, knit. You should always have at least, and if you notice when we do these cables, the stitches on both sides of the cable are always purls. The purls are going to help your cables stand up. It's going to push those knit stitches forward and pull the other ones, that purl stitch, to the back, so that your cable, you can actually see that it stands up. Here, if I can get it to straighten out, you can see how your cables are standing up here. See, they're higher, taller than the stitches on the side. That effect is created by doing a purl stitch on both sides. Okay, we're going to go back to row 6. Oh, Kahlua and the coffee. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Did they actually make a coffee line, Kahlua? How to double knit? I'm actually working on a double knit project today. If you want me to, would you like to see some double knitting? I can jump over and show you some double knitting, how to cast on for double knitting, and how to do the double knitting and make sure you twist your stitches on the edge so you don't have an open edging. Would everyone like to see the double knitting? I got a yes from Marie. There's a couple others in here. That sounds like fun. Okay, we'll set this to the side here and I can finish that up later. Put my marker over there. Let me grab a couple more needles here. And 2 colors of yarn. Let's see here. Let's do these 2. And let me grab some yarn here. Okay. Got some yarn here. We got some red and some gold. And I'm going to take my stoppers off of here because again I'm using some double pointeds. And we are just going to turn those into straights and we're going to put that over here in our need to finish project bin. And get this undone here so we got a little bit of this. Get this all set up here while everybody's sipping on coffee or maybe a breakfast sandwich because you're hungry this morning. And get this one unwrapped. And I'll show you. We'll make a little mug rug, which is like a coaster, a little rug for your cup. Rug for your mug. There you go, mug rug. If you like fringe on your crochet projects and you change colors a good bit, change your colors. Of course, you're changing your colors to the outer edge, but knot them together and turn them into fringe. Then you don't have to weave them in. All right. So what we're going to do for the cast on for this, I have to attach this onto my needle, and I do that with like a slip knot. Okay, and you can see I can use these 2 stitches or not. I'm going to go ahead and use these 2. And I'm going to put about 12 stitches on here. Now with a double knit pattern, you have to pay attention to the stitch count. And they normally give you a chart, a colored chart to work off of. Okay? I'll have to show you this in more detail at a later time. I will prepare up a graph. And actually we'll go it from step 1 on. But I'll just show you quickly the double knit cast on. And how to do the double knit. And we'll do a little mug rug. This is just like the long tail cast on. I pull these up like a slingshot. And we're going to pull colors from each side. But we need this yellow color to come next. Because when you do double knitting, each pixel on the graph represents 2 stitches. Okay? So, the next stitch we need, and we need to make sure that these colors alternate the same all the way through with the gold and then red. So we need a gold stitch. So we have to come through this loop, pull up a gold stitch here, and go through that loop. And that puts a gold stitch on. Now, the next one we need, snug that up a little bit so we're not so loose. Okay. The next stitch we need is a red one, so we're going to have to go through this loop to pull a red stitch up. Okay, and you'll do that for however many stitches that you want to do. This is the long tail cast on, but it's with 2 colors. Okay. You're going through each opposite loop of the color that you want to pull that color through. So we're going to go through this loop and pull this red. And then we're going to go through the red loop here and pull up a gold loop. Okay, and I'm just going to keep doing that here for a second. We'll make a miniature mug rug because I don't want to go too far. Now we need one more red stitch. Okay, because if I do too many, I won't be able to show you too much. Now we're going to turn our work just like we normally do. This tail you can weave in later. And it looks like this side, all mostly yellows are sticking up. This side, it looks like most of the reds are, but we kind of twisted. So anyway, we're going to start with this red stitch because that's the first one that's on there. When I do double knitting, I have a yarn guide that I use. And I have it down here on the double knitting project that I'm currently working on. So I'm going to grab a hold of it here. I just got it sitting on my needles. When I set a project to the side, and this is a yarn guide, when I set a project to the side, all right, home hooking, hopefully you hear me say bye, but I'll see you here in a little bit. This just helps guide the yarn. It's fits right on your finger. And it holds your yarn separated. I normally keep the lighter color yarn closer to me and the darker yarn further away. You want to keep these in the same exact spots throughout the work. Otherwise, you will see a difference if you switch these colors the other way after you've already started with them this way. So they always should stay this way in the same positions. Now, all the reds are going to be on one side of the work and all the yellows are going to be on the other. And you don't know how we're going to do this, and I'm going to show you. Basically, double knitting is knits and purls. Knits and purls, and that's all it is. Everybody thinks double knitting is so hard, but it is not. You are going to knit the first stitch, and on the graph, this is the only color you're going to see. You're going to see red. Okay? This second stitch is not going to be indicated on that graph at all, but it is there. Without having the graph to show you how it's done, it's kind of hard. So I can show you the technical aspect of how to do it. So you're going to go through here, and all the red ones you're going to knit, all the gold ones you're going to purl. Okay? It'd be a lot easier to describe if I had the graph done up, but I can do that at a later date. As you're working, you'll notice, again, all the purl stitches are going to go to the back because they normally pull down when you purl anyway. And all the knit stitches are going to pop to the top. So as we work this, all one side's going to be red and all the other side is going to be yellow. And all I'm doing is knitting and purling. Okay? I'm knitting with, and these stitches, because it was they're going to be a little tighter because it was just a slip stitch. Let me get these in here. Now, anybody who knits knows that when you turn your row around, your knits become purls and your purls become knits. So when I turn this around, we are now going to knit the gold and we are going to purl the red ones. Okay? But before we start, we have to make sure that we don't end up with an open gap on the edge. So we have to make sure that these stitches get twisted. Okay? So they're already twisted, which means we're not going to have a gap. So we're going to go in here and we are going to make sure that the red one stays underneath, where it's at, over top of the yellow. And we are going to knit with the yellow. And you can see that it has trapped that red one, or it's going to here in a minute. The red one is not loose and flying free. So we should not have a hole. So again, we're going to knit the yellows, or knit the golds. I'll call it yellow because it looks yellow on the camera. And we're going to purl the reds. Okay? And as you do this, it's going to put one color on one side and one color on the other side. It's almost like if anybody's done knitting to where you've done 2 socks at a time, where you knit one inside the other. I don't know if anybody's ever done that or seen it. It works similar to that. But see here, you can see, now we've got, it looks all yellow on this side. And it looks all red on this side. The 2 rows that we've gotten done. And it's just knit and purl. That's all. Everybody thinks, oh, double knit's so hard. No. For every knit stitch which is depicted on your graph with your picture, there is a shadow stitch, which is your purl. So you're actually working two pieces of fabric at the same time, and they are interlocked together. I don't normally do this with worsted weight yarn because it makes it really heavy. Okay, again here, you see my stitches aren't twisted now. So I'm going to end up with a hole. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this red stitch under the yellow stitch, this way, and then work it around there. Okay, so that in essence has trapped those two stitches together, and now I won't have an open gap. Then I just have to work a couple stitches to get that twist to ease up, and that's it right there. Okay, so we're going to knit the red ones and purl the gold ones. Now if I had a graph, I'd be able to change things up, but this is double knitting. Okay, I might do up a little graph and come back later today or later on this week, probably more so later on this week, because I don't want to, I'm getting addicted to TikTok Live, and I'm sharing, and I'm happy as a little kid at Christmas time. Now, we didn't twist it right, so we got some yellow in here. So I'll have to be careful of that. But yeah, this is basically double knitting. Let's switch it over to the other side, and my feed froze there for a minute. We've got a little wonky here with this, but as we knit, this'll, unless we didn't do something right, I probably twisted it wrong. But yeah, we'll fix that. But yeah, that's because the other side, we did that there. Now, the thing about double knitting. Hey, Brooksy, how are you? No, it doesn't give good tension at all, because I can take and do just like this. No, it's got a big open gap. The tension is all in my hands, which are down here behind it. No, this slides, this doesn't give tension at all. No, not this one. This is just a yarn guide. When you're working with more than one color, it helps you keep them separated. Because if I had both of those in my hand right now, they'd be like this. This helps me keep them separated so I can work one color and then another. Let's see, Brooksy in here. I'm running back through and checking and making sure I didn't miss any comments. No, we're good. But that's double knitting. And with this, just like you would do any knit or purl stitch, when you knit the gold ones, both pieces are to the back. I need to get this one around here. Twist that up a little bit. Now, when you do your purl stitch, both of them come to the front. Both of them. Now we're going to purl with the red. Both of them go back for the knit. We're going to knit with the gold. Bring your yarn to the front. Go into your next red stitch, and you're going to purl the red. And it's just knit and purl stitches. Now, if I wanted to change this up, okay, we're doing a little mug rug here. I can, and this is a small size mug rug, I'll end up pulling this back out when we get done. On the next row, I'll change it up. Okay, we want to put a little stripe on the next row. So when we turn this around, grabbing yarn everywhere. Okay, we're going to make a yellow row on this red side. Oh, you have a lovely day. And come back. Join me again. Now, we're going to do yellow on this side. I think I didn't have it. The reason why that did that, I didn't have it on the purl side with that one yarn. But we're going to switch over to the yellow now. So all we do is take our yellow, make sure that that's there. And we're going to knit with the yellow and purl with the red. I did a scarf like this for my daughter. I used a death flake. It had a skull in the middle, and it looked like it had the snowflake design around the skull. And I did it in red and black, or in black and white. Here I am sitting thinking about red stitches. And did it in black and white. And in between those two death flakes, I did checkerboard, almost like a racing flag. Okay, so now we've effectively changed those over. So now yellow will be on this side and red will be on the other side. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and work on up a little bit more and make sure that I've got the right colors here, because we're knitting with the red and purling with the yellow. Knitting with the red, purling with the yellow, all the way across. Losing tension on my thing here. And you can see that I have actually changed the color around. Now the red is on this side and the yellow is on the other side. And anybody who's done a crochet grafghan, you can use any crochet grafghan pattern, you know, the graph itself, and you can do it double knitted if you know how to do the knit and purl stitch. You can take any graph and do this, as long as it has two colors in it, because double knitting strictly uses, I don't want to say strictly, because you can double knit and you can change and use multiple colors. It's almost like doing Fair Isle. You're only ever working with two colors at a time. So if I wanted to change up and go green and purple, I can change my yarn out and go green and purple from here. Whatever color you want to do, whatever design you want to do. Once you get this panel started, you can do a little rubber ducky design in here and have a yellow rubber ducky in the red and have a red rubber ducky in the yellow. It both works out at the same time. This is a yarn guide. It just holds the yarn separated. You can use 3 or 4 different strands of yarn if you do that kind of stuff. I cannot knit with more than 2 colors. My brain won't let me do it. I don't know how to hold it all. And when I do color work, I hold my yarn totally different, because I'm working on another project. It's a sweater that I'm putting color work on, and I'm actually having to trap floats. And when I do color work, I have it in both fingers like this, and I'm working. I can show you with this how I do with color work. I'll do like this, and then both of these have to come to this side and do this. Both go to the back side, and we're going to knit. Come to the front side, and we're going to purl. So I'm knitting with 2 hands. And this is how I do my color work, where I have to trap floats. With double knitting, you don't have to trap floats. With color work, strand work, Fair Isle, you have to trap your floats, because you've got lengths of yarn that you're not doing anything with. Okay. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of knitted blankets that work up quick. I think what makes knitting work up quicker is using a bulkier weight yarn. So if you're using a blanket, if you're making a blanket and you want to have it done up really, really quick, you can use worsted weight. And to make it so that it's not so heavy, you use a larger size needle. And if you're just doing knit and purl stitches, you know, a size 10 blanket will work up really quick with a size 10. If you're throwing pattern stitches in there, that slows you down a little bit. But if you're just doing a knit and purl row with a seed stitch edge or some type of border edge so it doesn't roll up, this is what's going to happen to your knitted blanket if you don't put an edge on it. This does not have an edge on it. It's just knit straight to the side, and it's stockinette stitch. And when you let go of it, it rolls up. So you want to have an edge on it. You was going to do corner to corner knitting. Yeah, a worsted weight yarn or even like a bulky weight yarn with a little bit of a larger needle. It will make your blanket lighter weight because worsted weight and the bulkier you get with your yarn, it makes a heavier blanket. But if you go up in needle sizes, you have to make sure that you don't make it too big because your the inch width. Good morning, Meredith. How are you? The inch width for your blanket, you want to make sure that you've got enough to make it the size that you want and not too big when you change your needle sizes. So it really depends on what pattern you're using and how you alter it with the needles to make it work up a little bit quicker. Instead of your cable being this wide on your blanket per se, because I used a size 6 needle with those, if I go up to like a size 10 or an 11 needle, my cable is going to be wider. So you have to be careful of that when you start changing needle sizes. Make sure that you decrease your stitch count and all that kind of stuff when you start altering patterns so that it comes out the right size. I'm doing good this morning. I'm working on some knitted coffee cozies. I did these years and years and years ago, and I'm just trying to build a little bit of inventory for a craft fair. Oh, Crazy Stitches, if you're a first-time knitter, come and sit with me on Tuesday mornings. And I have a knit class. I'm teaching the knit basics and the knit stitches. And anybody who wants to learn, knit or crochet, trying to cater the classes to the students so that, they're pretty much dictating what I'm teaching. Because, you want to go to class to learn what you want to learn, not something that I want to teach you. Yeah, I love knitted cables. They just look so, so nice. And get a little fun with the little buttons on here. Got a little dragon on here. And I was showing the difference in making sure you have the right yarn. I'll leave that one there. The right yarn for the project that you want to do, because you can see how you've got good detail in the cables with solid color. And when you go to, and I started one with a variegated color, and I did this on purpose, and I'm going to keep it, how your cables get washed out in your colors. So you have to be careful when you choose yarn for your project. Okay, Crazy Stitches, you have trouble with the second step of keeping the yarn on the second needle. When I'm knitting, and I will show you, I'm just going to knit straight through this one and only with one color because I don't want to confuse you too much. But when I'm knitting, I'll show you the techniques, the technical aspects of where my fingers are. These fingers here, this pinky and sometimes this ring finger are giving me my tension here. This finger holds the yarn for wrapping. Then these fingers are holding the needle. This finger right here is holding this stitch until I get it done so it doesn't come off the needle. This finger is also pushing up the next stitch and holding back the one behind it as I'm going through to do. Okay? This helps assist the needle out. This pushes this loop off. This thumb is here holding this next stitch. So I'm always in control of, I'm holding stitches here, I'm holding stitches here, I'm again holding stitches here as I'm going through. So I'm always, my fingers are always in contact with my stitches on both sides. Okay, this side for pushing the next stitches up, holding this stitch back. I'm actually showing you in real time on really slow. Again, I'm pinching this needle. This is still holding this stitch. This is still holding this stitch back here. But I'm pinching this needle all at the same time so that I can let go, so that I can wrap. Then again, I come and grab my needle. Okay? And then working that loop through that stitch, pushing it off, pushing the next one up, pulling the third one back. So I'm constantly in control of my stitches. And everything is done in this little square space right here. It doesn't need to be a whole lot of twisting, a whole lot of prying. Everything gets done right here just like this. In that little 2-inch by 2-inch square. I know that's not going to look right here because it's going to mess all that up, but that shows you the technique of how I hold everything. Good morning again, Crazy Stitches. How I hold everything. Yeah, sometimes I do stitches with I don't do it with variegated simply because, but I think that it looks so good. Cables just look so good in this fleck. Either that buff fleck or Aran fleck. I like it done in a fleck. It just, I don't know, it just makes it look classic, timeless to me. Well, you have a good day too, Meredith. Everybody, you need to check out Meredith. She's got some pretty cool bags that she's got up for sale. Give her a check out. Yeah, I can knit Continental too. I was knitting with both hands a few minutes ago, and showed how the double knitting was done, and I knitted with 2 hands, so I can knit with both hands. I knit, I don't know if this is English or Continental. I think this one is Continental, where you knit this way, which they also call flick, because you have to flick that yarn up there. I do believe, and correct me if I'm wrong if you're still here, that knitting in this way is what they call Continental, where you pull it this way. And I don't do this one too well unless I'm doing, because my tension is terrible, this way. So, you know, it's up to the knitter how they hold their needles, how they knit, how they hold their yarn. I show you the technique, how I do it, how it's comfortable for me. There's not one right way to hold your yarn. There's not one right way to do your tension. It's all based on the crafter. Okay. Continental's easier on your... Yeah, you don't have a whole lot of movement with Continental because you're more picking than you are doing all of this with having to wrap. You're more so picking the stitch. The extra finger pull. I don't know what the extra finger pull. Yeah, I do hold, when I crochet, I do hold my yarn in this hand. I don't hold it in this hand when I crochet, which is weird. So yeah. Yeah, it takes a while when you do different things. There's a Norwegian knitting where you actually you have it pinned to your shirt or something, all kinds of, around your neck. Oh, I don't think I could stand that. So, but yeah, those are just some of the techniques. And this was this portion down here before I started knitting. This was the double knit. I will come back another day and show you the complete process of setting up to do a double knit. If you don't have a graph, you can pull a graph off of. Yeah, the techniques do get crazy. I like the basics, but if you can show me an easier way and it saves on my carpal tunnel and arthritis, yeah, I'll change over really quickly. But for me, this is what works the best. And, you know, for somebody else, this might not work the best. So, it's best to show all different types of techniques so that each person has a chance to say, oh yeah, I know that, I can do that. And I try to do it several different ways. And I've also tried some left-handed knitting so I can help out the lefties out there. I don't knit left-handed, but I have done it just so that I could demonstrate the stitch. And my brain was like, no, we don't like this. But we did it anyway. So it was fun. But I'm going to continue on off camera, finishing up these, the one that I made, and getting these done up and ready for sale. So you can get mirrored stitches, yeah. Left crochet. I have never done that. I crochet one way and that is it. One way. You have a good day too, Meredith. But yeah, give her a check out. She's got some really lovely bags. And they are some that you're not going to find in your everyday store. So give her a check out. But I'm going to end for today. And we did some double knitting and some cabling and some seed stitch and some other things today. And hopefully I've inspired you. And as always, may your stitch counts always match. And happy crafting.